Black voter turnout is up this year.
It looks to be an upward trend since the 2018 midterms, when black voters showed up to the polls by larger margins than any other minority group. This group of voters has historically shown overwhelming support for Democrats. In the 2020 presidential election, 92% of black voters cast their ballots for President Biden, but that support may be waning. Let's bring in Christopher Bruce and LaTosha Brown. Christopher is a Democratic strategist and the political Stacey Abrams campaign in Atlanta, and LaTosha is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Christopher and LaTosha, thanks so much for joining us on a very busy day. LaTosha, I want to start with you. What states have Black Voters Matter focused on the most in the months leading up to this day?
So we've been working in all of the southern states, which are our core states, 13 core states from Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, Texas. We've also worked on what we call our up south states as well. We've been working in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, as well. And we were doing some work in Wisconsin and Arizona. And so we've focused on a lot of the states that are key states in play right now, and the 13 states that we currently work with all year round.
There's also a record number of black candidates seeking statewide office today. That includes in Georgia, obviously. In the federal race, there are 2 black men running for the U.S. Senate. Christopher, the question to you is, what impact will that have on the enthusiasm among black voters?
Well, what we've seen is a huge amount of enthusiasm, especially when it comes to black voters. Black voters have been voting in record numbers when it's come down to early vote. So we want to make sure that we continue that enthusiasm going into the election that's happening today. When it comes out for black voter turnout, more black voters have voted at this time than at any time in the last midterm in 2018. So comparing this 458,000 black women compared to 401,000 black women that have voted at this time. And black men have made a huge marginal increase, more so than any other demographic that has been voting right now. So this type of turnout of seeing black male candidates on the ballot has really turned into a lot more black men coming out to vote.
Touching on what you're talking about, black men were less likely to vote in 2020, 2018, and 2016 than black women. LaTosha, talk to us about the push to mobilize black male voters this cycle, what your organization did to get them out to vote.
You know, there has been so much misinformation and disinformation, and I think there's been narratives that actually depress the vote. I can't tell you time and time again how many interviews people called me to ask me, well, what about black men? Are they going to come out or are they not going to vote? Because of that, what we have actually done, and other organizations as well, is really make sure that we are talking to that constituency group. We have young men that we have focused on, and voters, infrequent voters, and making sure that we have a message to speak and lift up the voices of what it is that black men care about. And so even today, we're actually going to there's a Black Male Initiative Fund that we've been supporting in several efforts. We've actually done what was called the Black Youth Renaissance Tour, where we've gone throughout the state of Georgia, making contact with college age students, about 80,000 college age students in the last month. And we had a specific focus on actually talking to black males, young black males, around what their concerns are in this election cycle. So there have been 3 things that we've been doing. One, we've been organizing black males with the leadership of black males that have been leading many of these efforts and supporting those organizations. Secondly, we've been doing a lot of work where we've been increasing our touch points with them. And third, we've been doing a lot of information, giving out voter education information as well, to actually offset some of the misinformation that we've been getting, that we've been hearing on the ground from voters.
This is the kind of day we want to know about the immediate political implications of things. So Christopher, if there's an increased turnout among black male voters in this Georgia U.S. Senate race, who benefits from that? Does any one side still have a claim on this being a political plus for them?
Well, let's look at it. And I agree with my friend LaTosha Brown when it has been a lot of misinformation out there. The record states that really black male voters have been turning out in record numbers. Black men have been turning out at 68% of their total vote as compared to at the same time in 2020. Again, and this is the highest rate amongst any other race or gender group that is currently voting. So who does it really benefit? It benefits the party that helps them the most. And as we've seen with Stacey Abrams, she's done listening sessions, she's done mobilizing efforts, she's done everything that she can to increase the Black male voter turnout. Why? It's not just something that's going along with making sure that she's elected as governor. It really goes along with what is the right thing to do as far as including the second highest demographic for Democrats to be involved in the process. And we're showing that at the polls. So when it comes to the real answer, no other candidate has done this much work or outreach for Black male voters than Stacey Abrams, and Stacey Abrams will benefit from this record high Black male voter turnout.
Unequivocally, in the run-up to this election day, both parties were making the argument that they're better there to serve. Christopher Bruce, LaTosha Brown, we thank you both for your time. We know it's a busy day. Thanks for making time for us.